go over construction cost management. And I've got a pretty cool tool here for you guys that I've built over the last couple years, Real Estate Lab. All right, guys, this is the last video in Chapter 11 on the topic of asset management. I want to go over construction cost management. And I've got a pretty cool tool here for you guys that I've built over the last couple years that has helped me, really helped me manage renovation process, draws with banks. I've done quite a few, I'd say 7 or 8 at this point, construction loans or bridge loans where there's some portion of the loan that is held back for renovations. And a lot of banks do this where you'll get, whether it's a local bank or a bridge lender, where they'll lend you a certain amount on the purchase price, but then they'll also lend you an additional sum of money for renovations after you buy the property. And accessing that additional renovation money is not as easy as just saying, hey, send me the money, or that money's just sitting in an account that you can pull from. They make you go through a process called the draw process, where you draw upon that money. And there's normally a couple steps you have to do. And so I wanted to at least show you this so that you're prepared should you enter that scenario. Some of this stuff you can also do even if you're raising the renovation money on your own. If you really want to keep track of it well, I would suggest at least using this draw tracker right here, this first page that I'm going to show you guys, to track the funds, the flow of funds, who your contractors are, the invoices and the payments, so that you have a good record of all this, because renovations can easily get out of hand and costs can get out of hand if you're not tracking them. You'll run over your budget. I mean, it happens all the time, especially if you're not in the construction business and you're not used to managing a budget for a project, especially over the last couple of years with COVID and everything, costs going up increasingly quickly. So, getting into this, it's really important, managing your renovations and then having something organized so that when banks see you submitting for these draws, they see something that they can trust, that you're putting the effort in to track this and be very organized, and they're going to be more willing to release those funds quickly. So I will jump right in right now with you guys, and I'm going to show you 2 different things. I'm going to show you my Dropbox folder structure for this, and then I'm going to show you guys my construction draw tracker, which is an Excel sheet that details all the renovations here. So I will first show you these folders. And in these folders, so this is a property folder here, 52 unit, obviously, and in that we have this asset management folder, the AMP asset management plan. We have our draws, and then for each draw on this property, we had $1.35 million construction loan. And so each time we work on the property and we're doing renovations, every $25,000 to $100,000 in work, we're going to go ahead and do a draw to pull some of this money down so that we could pay the contractors. So as you can see, for each of these draws, we have a folder with some other folders in it. And so I'll show you, for example, the last one that we completed, draw 8 here. I have a draw 8 folder. I have the draw request form from the bank, which is their form that they send us, that we have to put in the dollar amount, where the funds are being sent, all that kind of stuff. Who is the property owners? Sign off on that. How much money are we requesting? What are all the invoices for the work that we're doing? So, I'll put in, I have to get the invoices from my contractors. So this is something you're going to have to do with the contractors, make sure they're on a good system with you, is, hey, for you guys to get paid, you're going to have to send me the invoices. It's going to take up to a couple of days to prepare the draw, because I'm compiling invoices from you and from other contractors. I have to put together this draw package. I have to send it to the bank. The bank has to review it. Sometimes, not always, sometimes the bank is going to send an inspector out to confirm the work's been done. And then if that happens, right, this whole process could take 1 to 2 weeks easily before you can get contractors paid. You have to be really on top of this when you're working with these draw loans. Otherwise, your contractors are going to be waiting on money. Have them send you this stuff ahead of time. Be really prepared and organized, and you're going to be able to get your money from this construction loans a lot quicker. So that is part of the draw process with the invoices here. Then we have lien waivers. Not every bank's going to require this. A lot of them do. You have a lien waiver, and basically the lien waiver says as the contractor, once I receive payment in the amount of X, I will waive my right to put any construction liens on the property, basically saying that, hey, I've been paid, we're good to go. So this is a lien waiver, a partial conditional waiver form. We'll get those signed from contractors for any amounts normally that are over like $10,000. We'll do that. And that protects us as well as protects the bank, but it protects us because we're the contractor saying, once I get the payment from you, I cannot put a construction lien on the property, which is something you want to avoid, right? They'll do that if you don't pay them. Or the subs could do that. One of their subcontractors could put a lien on the property. But if you have that lien waiver and you've paid and you have proof that you've paid the contractor, you can easily get that wiped out. And then their problem is going to be between them and the general contractor, not them and you. And then finally, we have this construction cost tracker, which I'll get into right now. So it's a 3-tab spreadsheet. We have our draw tracker. We have a page for invoices, and I still left this filled out so you guys can see examples of how extensive we go here. And then we have all of our payments we're making. So first of all is the draw tracker. This thing goes all the way to over here. And I'll break down everything that's in this. So first is this item number. Depending on how many different items of work you want to do, you can get as detailed as possible. You just go in here, insert more cells. You can go and you can expand this even further, right? We can add as many of these as we want, and then you go in and add a bunch of different items. What are the different descriptions of the work that you're going to do, right? So there could be, we've got roofing, paint, siding, and brick, asphalt, parking lot, mini splits, landscaping, interior renovations. You could break this up into more detailed categories if you'd like. The way that I work with my contractors, though, is I'd rather just have one bucket, give me a price per unit, but you could break out appliances, doors. I mean, you could break out all that stuff, flooring. I don't get that detailed, but if you're an extremely detailed person, you could. It's just going to make your life a little bit harder. The reason being why I like to generalize these and just have one big bucket here is because whatever buckets of money I send to the bank in my renovation budget, this is what I'm sending them is, hey, this is my renovation budget. They're going to use those buckets on their end, and they're only going to lend me that amount, in most cases, for that item. So let's say I need to actually spend $175,000 in roofing. I'm going to go 50 over, right? You know, I might have to pull from either my contingency, which is just a general item that I can pull from, or I have to see if there's savings in one of these other categories that I can pull from. And if there's not, they might not give me that full amount that I need, right? So you want to make sure your budgets are generous enough within each category and they're well balanced, right? You don't want to give yourself way too much room on painting and brick and only spend $40,000 and now I'm under on roofing, right? Try and get as accurate as possible. And it happens where it's not going to be perfect, but just keep that in mind. The banks will loan you up to what's in that bucket, and then you're going to start dipping into your contingency. And then at the end of the project, you could probably start dipping into these other categories. You're just going to have to give them an explanation to repurpose the money for each of those buckets. So we've got our description. I'll put the contractor that's doing each item. We've got scheduled cost. Total completed to date. This sums automatically when you throw an item in here. So let's say we put 100,000 in there, 25,000 in here, and let's say we're going to spend 10,000 on this budget. So then it's going to update what's our remaining budget, and then what is our total completed to date here. And then every time I have a new draw, I go from draw 8 to draw 9. I'll copy draw 9, I'll put it in here, I'll paste it, I'll do draw 10. Boom, and then I will go in here, delete the invoices, and start fresh. So continuing on, and then I'll just what I do. This is what I do personally. For every draw, I'll move this over. I'll throw it down here so that they can see, hey, this is draw 2. These are the amounts. Draw 1 is solidified, and has it been paid by the bank? Yes. Great. Now we're waiting on draw 2. We've got $15,000 going in here. We've got $125,000 in unit renovations we need to pull. Okay, let's get that funded by the bank. Great, move it over, copy and paste, et cetera, et cetera. Moving down, we've got percent completion that auto-calculates. Has it been completed or not? And if it has, it shows us what are our savings or overage at completion of that line item. So just a pretty nifty tool. Going over to invoices, every time I get an invoice from a contractor, I will put it into this line item, the invoice number, the amount, any notes, if it's a change order, and I'm tracking every single one of these invoices because I can go back at any time and say, okay, for F&H Painting, this is all the invoices you sent me so far, $38,650. I have paid them. Let's see how much I've paid them. I have paid them $33,925. So I know at this point, because I've got 6 renovation projects going on right now, over $8 million from renovations. I'm never going to remember how much I've paid a contractor, how much I owe them, or if an email got lost with an invoice. So if a contractor tells me, hey, you didn't pay me, and I've had this happen before, they're like, hey, you didn't pay me, and I go in here and I look at my tracker and I look at, okay, this is how many invoices you've sent me. This is all the payments I've made. It looks like I'm completely paid up. I go check the bank account. I confirm that I've made all these payments and I didn't enter it improperly. And then I ask them, I say, hey, these are all the invoices you've sent me. Are there any invoices missing that I haven't received yet? Because if so, that's the only reason why there's something I haven't paid. And they said, oh no, can you send us, screenshots of each of the payments you made? And I sent them screenshots of each of the payments I made. And because I tracked it really well, I was able to go in and look at the dates I made the payments, and then I just took the screenshots of the checks or the bill pay or the wire, and I sent it over and we cleared it up. But those things will happen if you're not organized. You're going to run into issues. So I suggest being as organized as possible. It's going to help you guys out a lot. Use this draw tracker. I love it. It's I have, like I said, I've got 6 projects right now that we're using it on. And each of them have their own draw tracker, and it helps me compartmentalize everything and really keep it in order. And there's other systems out there you can use for it. This is just what I've come up with over time. It works for me and the construction loans that I've done. Banks like it. It's simple, it's straightforward, and it's just an easy system. So guys, appreciate you watching this video. Hopefully that helps you with your construction draws in the future. A little bit more of what to expect. I had no education on that going in, and I had to learn the hard way how to work, on a draw, and it was completely foreign to me at first. I'm like, why do I have to do all this stuff just to access my own money that you're lending me? And it's a process, and every bank's a little different. So, now that I've done a couple, I've created these systems around it, and here we are today, hoping to pass on some of that knowledge to you guys, that you guys can avoid, any of the heartaches and mistakes that I made along the way. So I will catch you guys in our next, and what I believe is our final chapter, chapter 12. See you guys soon.